All right, I think I'm going. This is the 2023 point of no return from WHITE2TEA. And I was a bit disappointed because on the back, there was just this guy on there not doing anything or saying anything. Again, true WHITE2TEA style, have no clue where this tea is from or any of that stuff. I don't know if it's a blend or what's going on. I did read the description before starting the video, and it was kind of cool actually, because I assume this was a guy speaking. It sounds a lot like a guy. He was like, what am I gonna say? Like, it's rare tea, it's from a forest, and it's good. And the trees are old, So anyway, this is early morning for me. I have not had anything to eat. And so I'm hoping that this tea is going to kick my ass, but also don't want it to upset my tummy. This is the cold brew. Looks really, really good. I think I got the leaf to water ratio just right. Maybe, a little bit more leaf won't have been terrible, but I think I got it just right. This is a 25 gram sample, so I do my very best to do 8 and 8, but and I always use the shake for the cold brew. As you can see, a lot of the shake in there. They did break me off a nice chunk though of the cake for this particular sample, which is always appreciated. You can even see some imprintation on the back of this thing. So it is directly off of the cake. And so I'm gonna have to try to break this in half, I guess, for my hot brew. Smells really sweet. Typical raw Puer, but not smoky, not really grassy. Definitely a fruit sweetness. So looking forward to trying this one. Another thing I have to say is that I initially wanted to get samples from WHITE2TEA because the prices on the cakes are always unassuming anyway. Anytime I've seen different adverts and things like that. But when I went to grab samples, I did try to get like a smattering of a little bit of everything, So I tried to get like the very cheap to the very expensive. And so far I've had the must be, which was really good, great body high. So glad I still have 8 grams of that left. That one was like $800 a cake. This one is $362. So still on the expensive side, but mid-range compared to the must be. Very light, very bright. There is a little bit of grassiness maybe in the aftertaste. But yeah, very thirst quenching, very sweet as far as Puers go. And it's really on the border of sugar sweetness. Yeah, I'll say sugar sweetness because if there is a fruit in there, I can't pick it out. And it is very close to sugar cane. Very close. Like if you ever had raw sugar cane, it's very sweet, but also kind of grassy because because sugarcane juice is green. So definitely sugar sweetness, but again, in that sugarcane green sort of way. Definitely not brown sugar, definitely not refined sugar, but sugar nonetheless. All right. And I have no clue what fruit this is. I can do that all day to try to figure it out, but it is again kind of on the cusp of being sugar sweet, but there is definitely for sure some fruit sweetness in there, no question. Just trying to pinpoint exactly what that fruit is would be difficult. All right, so. Actually, really wanted to warm this thing first. And give it another go at the aroma. Let's see if I'm gonna be able to, there we go. All right, let's see if this makes a huge difference. I'm thinking it will. I'm thinking that it's going to either really bring out the sugar sweetness or the fruit sweetness, but I'm assuming this is going to be more sugar. Let's see. No? Yeah, more. No, it's still on the cusp. But it's definitely gotten darker. And I'm certain that's what's gonna happen with the hot brew. I'm imagining it's gonna definitely get much more green and all of the flavors and aromas. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely closer to sugar. All right, so I'm gonna give this a decent wash. It did break apart really easy, but it is for sure like a thick piece of cake. So I want to try to loosen those leaves up as much as possible. It looks like this thing is probably not going to really unfurl until about steep 3. But you know, oh, there it is, starting to break apart now. As you can see, it's still pretty caked up there. Starting to break apart a little bit. Yeah, much more green. Yeah, definitely collard greens for sure. Yeah, collard greens all the way. It has lost all remnants of any sort of sweetness, and it is just a green tea. And so gonna go with really hot water, and I'm gonna try to not overbrew this thing and give it maybe, I think 15 seconds is gonna be not enough though on this thing. So I'm gonna go with maybe 20 to 30. Yeah, let's go with 30, because that cold brew was so light that I just don't think 15 is going to be enough. And then depending on how this brew comes out, I may try to overbrew this thing on the second infusion. And so, yeah, I was right. So steep number 2, they're all going to be unfurled. The cake is completely broken apart now. And so I can imagine steep number 2, steep number 3, they're gonna just all be completely loose and unfurled. Yeah, definitely collard greens. But you know, I've had teas that had that sort of you know, collard green, mustard green aroma, and it makes me want to add hot sauce to it. This doesn't do that for me. So very, I'm not gonna say very dark, but definitely dark as far as a young Puer goes, and that's, you know, that's 30 seconds, so it's to be expected. Fairly thick, just a little bit of material, not too much, not crazy. Do see some little fuzzies in the brew. Yep, very green, but very smooth. No, yeah, very, very, very slight bitterness. But so smooth. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had anything as smooth as this. And when I say smooth, what I mean is, it's like the transition from my mouth to my throat, I don't even know it's there. It's like it just kind of transports to the back of my mouth. It's so crazy. It's the weirdest. Feeling. It's weird. It does. It just goes. It's gone. And I mean, wow, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Like, I'm slurping, but I'm also trying to, I don't know, man. That is weird. I've never experienced that before. It just goes gone out of your mouth, down your throat, and you don't feel it at all. So it's a very light tea, even though the brew is thick. If there is a body sensation to go along with this, that would make it just like primo, because if you can imagine like slurping this stuff down without any effort at all, like you don't even realize you're drinking it, but you're also getting this crazy body high from it. I mean, that's something different. This one, I don't think that is the case. I'm gonna give this one a full 60 seconds just to see if we can overbrew this without overbrewing this. I have a feeling that it's gonna be very difficult to overbrew this. Maybe a forgotten brew is where this tea is at. I'm gonna see if I can drink it down pretty quick too, just to see if I get any sort of body sensation. So far, I don't feel much of anything. I've drank quite a bit of the cold brew, and I've had one infusion so far. Usually it takes me about 3 to notice anything. Maybe I feel something tiny right now, but not much. I think I feel a little bit of something rushing to my head in a very soothing manner, not jumpy or jittery or any of that stuff. Yeah, The aroma is very subdued now. And so I think I recall WHITE2TEA saying which teas were blends, um, blended with Gushu versus Young. So this one is dated 2023 point of no return. So I have to imagine this is just a Young SHENG, not blended. I can't even begin to try to figure out where this is from, but it is definitely, it's definitely interesting in how it moves in my mouth. Like I said, I've just never experienced that before. It just, smooth is not even an apt word to describe it. Now, this is a 60-second infusion, and as you can see, the color hasn't changed much at all. It very much is a thick brew. You can't see through it at all. There is definitely activity there. You do see some sediment there at the bottom, but again, nothing too crazy. Okay, so the extra time at 100 Celsius has definitely knocked up the bitterness, but it's still not bitter. I would say it's slightly bitter. The first infusion, not bitter at all. Maybe moving into moderate, but nah, not really. I am noticing that I'm drinking this a lot faster. So when I put a lot in my mouth, you know, then I recognize myself swallowing it. But when I take just a normal sip, like, it's like I'm not doing anything to get the water to go down. Darn it, I forgot my cold water. All right, so I'm gonna drop the temperature on this one. I don't expect to get anything different out of this infusion. Matter of fact, I expect to be a bit disappointed, just because the cold brew was so light. I can't imagine brewing this tea at cooler temperatures and thinking that you're going to get anything different out of it. And I am starting to feel something. And keep in mind, I haven't had any food today. Just woke up. So like, this is wake and bake as far as young SHENGs go. And so if I'm going to feel anything, it's definitely going to be right now. Starting to feel something in my tummy. All right, and I'm going to let this hang out for as long as my patience will allow. Quite a bit of water in here too. The leaves have really opened up. Fairly pretty bouquet. Lots of reds in there. Didn't say whether it was autumn, spring, or summer. I'm going to assume it's spring. Ooh. Yeah. Still very subdued aroma. Not very heavy on the aroma. But I'll tell you, I feel it in my tummy. It's not horrible. You know, I was afraid that it was going to be like super active and give me an upset tummy, but that hasn't happened so far. So I think unless I drunk just copious amounts of this really fast, I'll be okay. And I am feeling a sensation. Feels really good. Like I said, it's rising. Like I feel it going, you know. Not jittery, kind of buzzy. You know, my face is kind of numb in there, you know. It feels good. It feels good. I'm also waiting on delivery of more tea. I finally pulled the trigger and got tea from Burma and Laos and places like that. The Mississippi Tea Company finally posted this year's green teas, and they also posted a black tea, which I don't even know how they got that done so fast. But either way, I'm excited to try those. I want to try to get some tea from, was it North Carolina, South Carolina as well, just to try it out, you know. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel some kind of way too about the teas from Laos and whatnot, because it's just like, how am I going to know, you know, that these teas are really from these places? Unless there is something so distinct about these teas as far as, you know, flavor, aroma, or looks, or aesthetics. Like, I don't know what they're selling me, you know. I feel like the only way is you have to try multiple teas from multiple retailers from the same place in order to really have an understanding or even knowledge of a tea from a place. But, you know, I'm gonna try it and see what happens, you know. So this is the cooler temps, longer steep time, third infusion, bit more material, same color, so that doesn't change. Not sure what that says about the tea, but well, it's interesting. I'm not disappointed. Not disappointed. Slightly, well, it's bitter in the way that the first infusion was bitter. Meaning that, like, it's a tiny bit there, but you can't call it bitterness. You recognize that is the bitterness in the tea, but it's not bitter, you know. Just whatever that is. Maybe it's like a mineral thing. And the sweetness is coming through a little bit. The sweetness is coming through a little bit. Definitely a sugar sweetness. Definitely darker than a refined white sugar. Not quite brown sugar though. And you still have that kind of collard green thing going on. So I think at this point I can say that this particular tea is interesting just because of the smoothness. I mean, that is a very interesting mouthfeel. Like it literally just transports in your mouth. Is really weird. Other than that, though, it is a typical young SHENG. It's nothing much more to it than that. It doesn't have much of an aroma on it. There is a decent body high, though. But again, that's, you know, early morning, no food, too. So, yeah. And I think the quality of the leaf is decent. You know, like I said, there was some material in the brew, but not a crazy amount. So I don't think it's like a dirty tea or anything. And the cold brew is very refreshing. Definitely something I can take out on a hot day and not worry about the heat giving any sort of weird flavors or anything, you know? It's decent. 2023, point of no return, white to tea. From me to you. Aha.